Good morning. Welcome back to Daybreak on this 14th day of September 2020. And it's time that we want to focus on the discourse that is in the country. Of course, so many matters taking place. We know for sure that the political campaigns are back in the country. But also this morning, we're expecting that one Kapseret member of Parliament, Oscar Sudi, will be taken to court, understandably, in Nakuru to face charges that we are yet to establish what they are. But of course, we've seen the images of the attempted arrest and eventually him surrendering. And joining this conversation, we have one Nelson Koech, who is the member of Parliament for Belgut constituency. He's actually on the road. He'll be telling us where he's headed. We have Senator Ledama Olekina from Narok County. We also have Opio Wandai, who is a member of Parliament from Sia County. We also have one Gunjiri Wambugu, member of Parliament for Nyeri Town. Good morning, gentlemen. I want to begin with you, Nelson Koech, because you appear to be on the road, and I see that you have some company there. Where are you headed?
Hi, good morning, Sam. Like you mentioned that Oscar Sudi is meant to be presented in court this morning. That is exactly where I am headed.
Okay, so what exactly are you going to do? Because I believe that it's one Oscar Sudi who is facing charges. What is this about?
Just showing solidarity with my colleague. It's nothing to do with the charges. It's more to do with my friend who has been incarcerated. So it's only fair to be there.
And you appear to have company. You appear to have company. Who's there?
No, there is no. I am. There are many people, of course, going there, but I'm on my own at the moment.
Nelson Koech, I know you have company inside that car, but all the same, if you don't want to reveal who it is, I know who it is, but all the same. So let's begin with that conversation about the sentiments that we've heard from Oscar Sudi. We also heard from Johanna Ngeno. Of course, that matter of Johanna Ngeno is already in court. He says that he does not find any wrongdoing that he did when he spoke about several matters. But let me ask you, so we appear to be in the political season, and you are from that side of the politicians. Is this the way it's going to be for the next 694 days before the next election?
First, Sam, let me say that I don't personally approve of any person's attack outside politics. Nonetheless, it should be noted that these political spats were sparked off by a section that seemed to operate with a lot of impunity. You must have seen the COVID millionaire somewhere and the insults that have been directed for a very long time at the side of the deputy president, particularly statements that have been made by Atwoli in reference to the deputy president that he will not be in the ballot in 2022. And they have continuously said that every other weekend. You've seen the statement that so many times, even in your own station, that David Murade has made. Of course, as politicians also, we have constituency and we have people who value the input of the deputy president in this government. And many times we have asked for restraint, yet we've not seen that. So somehow, and even if you see what is happening, instead of the government focusing on arresting the perpetrators of such hate talk, it is now, their guns are trained on a particular political section, which is totally unfair. So it is wrong, but then again, you must look at it in wholesale, that who is this who is perpetuating? Why are people now, all of a sudden, there's heightened political activity in the country, yet we are supposed to have been fighting COVID, unemployment, and all those other things. So that is where we are, and as you asked, is it the start of politics? To be fair, yes. Raila Odinga has been at the coast for the last few days. It's about BBI that we don't even know. On the other hand, he's saying that Deputy President is opposing something he's not known to the public. Yet, at the same time, he's also supporting something that we don't know to the public. So politics has started, I will say, yes.
Okay, all right, Nelson Koech, of course, we'll be engaging on so much more about that. But Senator Ledama Olekina, hearing from Nelson Koech, of course, he says that he's heading to show solidarity with his colleague MP Oscar Sudi of Kapseret, and he makes some excuses, some explanation why the situation is so and how Sudi is speaking the way he is. Does that convince you? Should we brave ourselves for more in the next 23 months?
Sam, I think the first thing that we have to note as a country is that we have come of age is an independent state and a democratic state. We have to define what freedom of speech entails to see where your rights begins and where mine ends. And my prayer is that all of us will be very sensitive to the current situation. We don't want a situation whereby we feel like other people consider themselves more Kenyans than others. So we've got to be very, very careful in terms of the utterances that we make. So it boils down to the issue of, freedom of speech. What does the Constitution say? How can you express yourself? With anger, we also have to define what is insults that affects the nation and versus personal insults. We have to know what that means. It could be slur, and I think the most important thing is that I would plead that we become tolerant. We find a way to express ourselves, because the problem with this country is that we seems to be always in a political mood, in a campaign mood. I think it's about time we start focusing on issues to try and see how we can take this country forward.
All right. Honorable Pio Wandai, good morning. And so now we've seen Johan Ngeno. Of course, he says that he has nothing to regret. He's not going to apologize on anything. The same has come from Oscar Sudi. And then the viewers, I mean, those that are watching are the voters, then they'll have to make a decision in some time, in actually 2 years. So what are they supposed to take? Because you've seen you, the political class, you speak ill of each other, but then you come and make up after an election, but you leave the country divided or the masses divided.
Well, Sam, I agree that we have got freedom of expression as a constitutional right. And indeed, I will have to defend every person who wants to enjoy that right as provided for by the Constitution. However, we must appreciate the fact that these rights are not absolute. And therefore, as political leaders, we must be extremely careful that we don't cross the line. What we have seen in the recent past, particularly stemming from the Jubilee part, is a situation where people have crossed the line indeed. In fact, what we have seen is a situation where people are deliberately whipping up emotions and inflaming passions as a way of settling political cause. This is a situation which should not be allowed to continue, because if it does, then the country is going to head in the wrong direction and there could be trouble ahead. The problem we have at hand, Sam, is the succession in Jubilee. There is a grouping in Jubilee which believes that this succession should have taken a particular direction, whereas another grouping believes that the succession in Jubilee is an open affair, and therefore people are free to compete when the time comes. Now, the problem we have again is if that statement in Jubilee is allowed to continue, then there's going to be a problem in service delivery. As we speak, the government appears dysfunctional as a result of the hate and tension within Jubilee. And indeed, we have seen in the rallies that have been conducted of late by the Jubilee faction headed by the deputy president, we are basically on a campaign mode, something which cannot be countenanced two years before the next election. Yes. Okay,
all right, and Honorable Njiru Wambugu, so of course the sentiments that are being given by those Oscar Sudi and Johan Ngeno, several other people saying that they are speaking for the deputy president. But is it true that every time you hear somebody speaking ill against a certain political figure, they are really representing their political masters?
Thank you very much. I don't think that you can comfortably say that everybody who speaks ill about somebody else is representing somebody else. But when you do it and you say that you are doing it on behalf of somebody else, as we saw, when we saw Sudi make the comments he made, he said he is speaking. He is there. He's annoyed because of what is happening to the deputy president. He's angry. In fact, he said he's very hurt. Akona uchungu mwingi sana. When you listen to Ngeno, a lot of what he said came from the same perspective, that we know we are speaking because of the deputy president. And then the deputy president himself gets an opportunity to speak. He spoke yesterday, he spoke the day before, and you don't hear him actually speak about those comments which are now a national conversation. You don't hear him condemn the people who made those comments. So you're left having to believe that this must be a coordinated conversation, especially when you hear the same words coming from everybody. You hear people talking about this country doesn't belong to you, this country, kuna watu wengine, kuna watu fulani, and it's the same conversation. And when you're a politician and you're a smart politician, you know how this works. You know that somebody sat somewhere, there was a centralized command, there was a conversation, there was an agreement that we utasema hivi, then you are going to say this, and then we will see we'll see what kind of reaction comes out. And I want to echo what Honorable Opiwandai has said. There is a whipping of emotions. There's a deliberate effort to whip emotions. There's a deliberate effort to create a crisis. There's a deliberate effort to incite a part of the Kenyan population against another part of the Kenyan population. Even the conversation about hustlers versus dynasties, the conversation especially, and this is a word I am very, very, very personally concerned about, when people keep using the word watu fulani, watu wengine. In a country like ours, where we've had a history of general statements being misused to become a point of incitement, I am very concerned, because who are the watu wengine you're talking about? Who are the watu fulani? And does the law allow you to actually incite people, for example, against a family? We've had people talking about the first family, saying this country doesn't belong to them. That is true. This country belongs to all of us. But then when you specify a particular family, then the line, you've crossed the line. Tomorrow you will start talking about my family. The next day you talk about Opio's family. The next day you'll be talking about Wahiga Mwaura's family. And at what point, if you have a problem with me as Gonjiri Wambugu, why don't you come after me as an individual? Because I'm the politician. When we start having generalized terms, generalized phrases, in a country like ours, with a history like ours, you're actually creating the environment, a very toxic environment, that allows somebody to then now take that phrase and convert it to whatever they want. The next day you'll hear them fighting against a particular economic community. How long will it take for it to become an inter-ethnic conversation, considering the kind of history we have as a country?
Okay, all right. Of course, we're expecting that Oscar Sudi will be in court. Nelson Koech will be heading there. Maybe he might tell us a few things, maybe reporting for us this morning. But all the same, let's listen to what the leaders who on the campaign trail, if I may call it so, was saying over the weekend. We're talking about Raila Odinga as well as William Ruto. Just listen.
Is under lock and watakuja, watatembea, watamwaga pesa, watatutusi.
Fisi amejivisha nguo ya kondoo. Amejivisha nguo ya kondoo. Hata amebadilisha ile mlio yake. Aseme nyang'au. Ng'au anasema rrr, rrr. Lakini bado ni fisi, sawa sawa? Sawa sawa? Ukiwashe kwa zizi yako, kondoo yako yote itaenda.
Ati hawa watu wananidharau, ati mimi hasla siwezi kuongoza nchi. Safari hii tutawaonyesha ya kwamba mtoto wa mama wa bodaboda, ama mtoto wa mama maskini, ama mtoto wa yule anauza kiosk anaweza kuongoza taifa la Kenya.
So those are the leaders, of course, with Hassan Joho, they're the governor of Mombasa County. And I want to begin with you, Opiwandai, because you're a member of parliament from ODM. Is this confirmation that Raila Odinga will be on the ballot come 2022?
Certainly not. Raila Odinga has not indicated anywhere that is running for president in 2022. In fact, as a party, the discussion of 2022 is something which we don't entertain at the moment. What we are focused on, and what Raila Odinga was doing in the coast and everywhere else, is to rally Kenyans towards supporting the reform agenda that is spearheaded under the BBI framework. That is what he has been doing, and that is what we insist must happen. Anything else is diversionary. If you listen to the statement, the speech by the deputy president in Kitengela yesterday, and I agree with my friend Ambugu Mjivi. You know, when you keep on referring to wale, wananichezea, wanafikiria mimi siwezi, he is trying to create a divide, a very toxic divide, okay, between Kenyans. And in fact, I want to challenge the deputy president that it is time now he named those people he's referring to. Because from where I sit, it's like already, of course, the gloves are off from where I sit. But we must be very careful that even as the campaigns continue, the so-called campaigns, we don't divide this country and we don't lead this country into an abyss. Yes.
Okay, all right. You're saying that the gloves are off, but you're also saying that the former Prime Minister has not declared that he'll be running. There's a clip that you'll be listening to shortly. But let me get to you, Senator Ledama Olekina. So now, when you hear these leaders speaking the way they are, I don't know whether you share the view that Raila Odinga is yet to declare his interest in 2022. But let's listen to what he said in as far as that, hajachoka.
Baba hajachoka. Ako tayari. Je, nyinyi mko tayari? Mko tayari? Baba hajachoka. Baba hajachoka. Ako tayari. Je, nyinyi mko tayari? Mko tayari?
Senator Olekina, what does that mean?
I think I would probably leave that for Raila Odinga to be able to demystify what it means. But I've had several discussions with my party leader, and he has affirmed that his interest is to see that this country is united, that this country, lead, and everyone feels included. And that's why I strongly believe that we should not have these diversionary talks at the moment. I think we should be focused on the one thing which is dividing this country, which is the revenue formula. In my view, all these are sideshows, to tell you the truth. I think it would be better if we would be focused on giving counties their money, because we are failing in our duties. I keep saying that the Senate has money to do its work properly, but there's a remote control out there controlling it. And my argument is this: I will actually ask Kenyans not to focus a lot on these politics which are coming out now, because we have to say people are suffering. There are people who have not been paid their wages. There are people who have not been paid for what they supply to counties, and now counties are coming to a halt. And any sane individual out there would know that all these are diversionary tactics. Our focus should be one where we develop this country and we move. And we now move from these issues of talking back and forth about each other and now focusing on issues. I wish we would have been talking about how we'd ensure that a government does not promises a BTR, and then I think 3 years down the line, we have nothing. There's still a lot of congestion in Nairobi. We're still losing a lot of money because of traffic. So really, my view is this, and I would plead with all Kenyans to give a deaf ear in such talks and focus on development of this country. I think Kenyans should be taking us to task and demanding that tomorrow we pass this revenue formula and we stop this pussyfooting and really focus on how we are going to take this country forward. I'm really sick and tired of these campaigns on a daily basis. Look at the issue of coronavirus. If you now tell me that there's no corona, I'd believe you. But it's a little bit hypocritical that you will find that young Kenyans who are poor walking on the streets without a mask will get arrested. But look at the crowds. Look at us leaders. We are the ones who are making people now suffer. I wonder how many people will, contract coronavirus in those big crowds. Mm-hmm. So really, we have to move away from this kind of divisive politics and focus on issue-based politics.
Very interesting, Senator, that you should say that. And you said that you have been having conversations with your party leader, but he's the one that is holding those rallies. At least for him, we've seen him sometimes wearing a mask, but we have not seen as much for Deputy President. But let me get you. We'll be looking at those pictures, Honorable Koech. So when the Deputy President takes the podium and addresses the people, tells them that it's time for a hustler to be president, what exactly is he selling? Yet you know that he's the Deputy President. He still has 23 months to go until the next election. Why is his focus now going to the matters to do with politics of 2022?
First, I'm sure you know that as much as he's a Deputy President, we have not seen much of them in this last quarter of their tenure. But nonetheless, what the Deputy President is simply saying is that it is an opportunity now that this country, every hustle means something. So that today, Mama Mboga and mechanics and TTIs, we have empowerment of young people to take up opportunities that are available. He's not simply saying that, we will create 1 million jobs from formal employment and white-collar jobs. All he's saying is that everyone in every field can grow to be something. That is exactly what the Deputy President is saying. So, and it is not a divide.
So, Honorable Koech, why is he saying it? Yet he's in the executive. He can exactly do what he wants to do come 2022. He can start to do it now.
Come on, Sam. Are you new in Jerusalem? There's nothing that the deputy president is doing. I mean, is permanently, it's totally been sidelined from government. That is not news. He's just a deputy president by name, but in real sense, there's nothing much that he's doing. You know, the wielders of power, Wambugu there, my friend, have denied him every opportunity to shine. So, like he said in his interview, he's taken a back step, or he was requested to take a back step, and let the others run the show. That is why you find Wandai, my friend Wandai there, talking as if he's more government than me, because they know that the deputy president now is back to not doing much, and that is why he's gone out to start campaign for 2022, and now where he will run his agenda and not anybody's agenda.
Sam.
Honorable Ngunjiri, before you appeal, you've been accused that your side is the one that is sidelining the deputy president. But again, when you...
in fact, Sam Wambugu is that Mutufulani. That is actually who the deputy president is referring to.
Honorable Ngunjiri, how do you respond to the fact that you came to Kenyans and told them that you are going to deliver so many promises, including the Big Four agenda, and now 2 years to the next election, that relationship is not working? How do you account for that to the Kenyans?
So let's first agree that the person with the responsibility of making that delivery ultimately is Uhuru Kenyatta, and I know he would prefer to have William Ruto aligned and working with him and doing everything he can to support him. But of course, it's quite clear that the deputy president has decided he doesn't want to do that. He wants to campaign for 2022. And well, it's his right. He can do whatever he wants. But then, of course, there's always going to be a cost to pay, because you cannot take a position against your president and your party leader and assume that you're going to continue being given responsibilities to work. Because if you are working in conflict with what your party leader and president is asking, you're certainly going to get sidelined. I mean, that is just obvious. Anybody would do that anywhere. But even more specifically, and I've had my good friend, we call him Sonko, Koech, saying that we are Mutuflani, that I am one of those Mutuflanis. Now I even get more scared. In fact, I think I'm going to go and make a statement with the DCI, because this now makes me even more scared that we have people going around the country and inciting other people against somebody like myself, and suggesting that we are the reason that this country is in problems. And the person who is doing that is none other than the person of the deputy president. You now start understanding why I am so cautious about this phraseology and this particular position that we are the reason that the deputy president is in problems. The reason the deputy president is in problems is his own cause. He is the one who has refused to do what he has been asked to do. He has been asked to stop premature campaigns. He has refused. He has been asked to support BBI. He has refused. He has been asked to support the fight against corruption. He has refused. He has decided that everything that he's been asked to do is against his ambition. Now you hear him saying that he is going to show Kenyans that the son of a poor person can be president or can lead this country. He needs to understand we can only have one president at a time. Parliament has 340 plus members of parliament. A lot of us in that parliament don't come from dynasties, don't come from rich backgrounds. So I don't know what he's talking about. He needs to understand also that the people who voted for us are mamambogas and bodabodas and those people that he's saying are going to go into office. He needs to understand. I wish he was telling us that his running mate is a boda or mamamboga or something like that. But he is still trying to raise the emotions of the mamambogas and the bodabodas and the people who voted for us. He's now lying to them that they made a mistake voting for us. They now need to vote for him. And he's actually richer than us. He is more of a wealthier person than us. So the danger of what he is doing, Sam, and this is something that Kenyans must be very, very, very clear with, is that he's trying to motivate a class war. And he's pretending he's part of the people who come from the hustler nation. He's pretending he's a poor person. But in reality, he's not. William Ruto is not poor in any sense of the word, and he needs to get called out. He can't come lying to us and telling us that he represents the poor people. That's not true.
Okay, Honorable Wambugu, we need to take a short break, but when we return, we continue this conversation with Senator Ledamo Lekina, Honorable P. Wandai, Nelson Koech from Belgut, as well as Wambugu there will be speaking to us when we come from the break.
amekuwa deputy president from 2013. 2020 ndio leo atiwasema vijana wanataka pikipiki. Leo ndio wasema vijana wanataka wilbaro. And I must tell you, we will do anything possible to stop you because nia yako ni kudhulumu wa Kenya, my friend.
What is his problem with the church? What is the problem of Raila with the youth of Kenya?
Sisi tuko radhi, huyu anapeana bodaboda. Sisi tuko radhi, huyu anapatia mama zetu mashini za kufanyia kazi na kuempower, badala ya huyu anatupatia pojo.
So, one Honorable Opiyo Wandayi. So, listening, of course, we are still with Senator Ledamo Lekina. We have Nelson Koech as well as Ngunjiri Wambugu. But Honorable Opiyo Wandayi, so listening to what your deputy party leader in the name of Hassan Joho is speaking about there, attacking what your opponent is doing, I mean, when do we speak about the agenda? Like Senator Ledamo Lekina there raises very pertinent issues. When do we speak about the agenda instead of this empty political rhetoric, if I may call it so, ahead of an election, yet you have an existing mandate that you continue to serve as a member of parliament or an elected leader, whatever position you occupy?
You know, before I get there, the Honorable
Honorable Wandayi, we're having challenges with your audio. I don't know what's happening. Maybe you can try once more.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I'm saying that for starters, I don't belong to Jubilee. My party is ODM. And in ordinary circumstances, I would not be concerned about what's happening in Jubilee. But for the fact that Jubilee is the ruling party, is the party with the mandate to govern this country, it must bother me when there is a stalemate, when there's a crisis in Jubilee. And that is why I am saying, for avoidance of doubt, that the Jubilee crisis needs to be resolved one way or the other. But having said so, and I believe that Honorable Koech is not speaking for the Deputy President, because if he was speaking for him, I would be concerned. Yesterday, the Deputy President in Kitengela was reiterating that he's the Deputy President of this country. I heard him very clearly. And now Honorable Koech is here telling us that the Deputy President is just a Deputy President by name. And then, for sure, if the Deputy President is just by name, and that he has been sidelined totally, to use Honorable Koech's words, from the affairs of government, really, the only honorable thing left is for the Deputy President to resign and then join the opposition. In fact, I have heard Honorable Koech referring to me as more government than the government. I am not. I would have wanted to actually give some tutorial to Honorable Koech and his friends on how to play opposition politics if they dare to, they care to ask that tutorial. Now, the issue that Honorable Ledamo Lekina has raised, and all of us agree that they need to be addressed. But there's only one government in place. We only have one government headed by President Uhuru Kenyatta and deputized by William Ruto, the government of Jubilee. It is the duty of the ruling part of the government in place, the executive in place, to solve the problems of the country. And that problem is not being solved because of the dysfunction in government, which is opposed by this force. And therefore, Kenyans right to demand that we go back to our senses and stop this unnecessary skirmishes.
Okay, all right, I will get back to that. But before I get to you, Senator Ledamo Lekina, let me talk to one Honorable Koech. And in your rallies, like you saw from the images that we have, you're no longer wearing masks, or the people that are in those rallies are no longer wearing masks. You can look at that. Of course, also in the rally of Raila Odinga. This, of course, raises the risk to contracting the coronavirus disease. Currently, we have 36,157 infections. Of course, the rate of infection appears to be going down based on the samples that are testing positive out of those that are being run. But what message are you sending to Kenyans when the political leaders are behaving this way?
Some wearing of masks is a personal responsibility. You don't have to be advised by anyone on what to do with a mask. But more important, and why I think many Kenyans are so bored with the mask story, is the fact that we were asked to stay indoors. We were asked to mask up. Yet in the process, we have people who have made millionaires out of the whole scenario. it is so boring. So people, in the minds of many people today in Kenya, they wonder if in the first place there was corona. Number two, then if there was corona, why haven't we had any arrest on the people who have stolen money that was meant to provide for the people of this country, masks and many other things. So that is where the problem starts from. I think it is a personal responsibility, but more to it, the Kenyans are asking is, did we even have corona in the first place? Why are the numbers going down when all the money seems to have been stolen? So those are very many questions that Kenyans are asking.
So of course, Honorable Koech, your questions are valid, but does it make any logical explanation why political leaders would be, of course, basking in the public without their masks on, of course, speaking using the same microphone, yet these are some of the measures that we were told by the Minister of Health that they should take precaution?
They don't take precautions themselves. I've personally seen the president 2 days ago when he addressed a crowd on his way to Ruiru without a mask. We've seen, we've heard even the health minister going around without mask and doing rallies like he had one in Kisii. So if you are doing that, then people will come out and say probably there is something these people know that we don't know. So why should we mask up? So responsibility must start with the leadership and the ministers and the people who are supposed to be telling Wananchi exactly what to do at this time of the pandemic. So for me, I still mask up because it is my responsibility. And I think every other person should do that. But even before going that, Sam, we will be concerned. Wandanyi there is the chair of PIC in Parliament. Those are the questions that he should be asking. We need to see action being taken on the Kemsa haste. That was a good story. The citizen brought it up. It's gone quiet. And now we are having these distractions of Sudi, arrest of Sudi and Ngeno, because we do not want to focus on the real story of COVID millionaires. That is where we should be as a nation.
Honorable Koech, I'm having challenges with your image. I think it's good. You're going off camera. But as you rectify that, Senator Olekina, listening to your colleague parliamentarian, of course, making those explanations, and of course, we know that there are real concerns about KEMSA and how money has been spent. But does it really make sense that political leaders should be behaving the way they are at such a time that we are still being told that there is a threat of contracting the virus?
I think one thing I can note is that we as a political class in this country, and particularly being led by our president, our party leaders, we've got a strategic incentive in engaging in divisive politics. And whenever it is of interest to us, then of course we make sure that we propagate and we try to confuse the electorates so that they can be able, so that we can personally gain. What is happening right now begs a lot of questions. It portrays a situation where there seem to have been a strategic interest in, stealing all the money that has either been set aside to deal with this issue of COVID-19, or even the money which has been donated. You remember that I sit in the health committee and we're investigating, all the dealings of KEMSA. And this time around, we promised the country that we'll do our best to be able to pierce the corporate veil, to understand what is all this nonsense in terms of the issues of accountability, political accountability. So really, I am really at a stage where I wonder, why close the economy? And then all of a sudden, even before the curve is flattened, we now start engaging in these huge political rallies. It's actually very, very sad. And I do hope and I pray that at least at some point, we can be able to get some sense. And even the Kenyans themselves who have suffered. When you see all those people running around, greeting us and celebrating us, those people will come there, maybe on that particular day, they'll pickpocket, get some little money. They don't come there because they love us. They come there because they want to survive and just because they want to feel included. So really, I think it behooves us now as leaders to try and come up with policies that will really show the country that we care about the 47 million people and not a few individuals. I want to refer back to the issue of the MES, which we in the Senate have termed it as a criminal enterprise. We will have that we pursue those companies who are overcharging, the supply of medical equipment to hospitals. We have, as a younger generation, and I keep talking to my colleagues in the Senate, that we have got to do things differently. I'm really tired of this divisive politics where it is now it tend to polarize the electorate, you know, and this always happens when it comes to the incumbent. It weakens the ability of independent voters to make the incumbent accountable.
Okay.
You know, you raise the issue, and you asked my dear friend Ngunjiri Wambogwa about the issues of the legacy, about the things that were promised by the Jubilee administration that were never delivered. So when we now shift to focusing on this issue of these political rallies, or this community versus this community, or limiting the freedom of speech, then it weakens the ability of electorates to be able to question the incumbent on the promises, you know, and we've got to change that. Because when you look at other democracies, like if you look at the United States of America, you know, when it comes to the issue of freedom of speech, it is very clear that Congress shall make no laws that sort of like prohibits or limit the freedom of speech. So, but, you know, our situation is a bit different because of the history of this country, where polarized, a point of where we've got a lot of ethnic violence.
Okay.
But we have come to the reality that what is happening now is not helpful, you know, and, you know, we've seen, I've questioned, I've been a victim whereby I've been arrested by NCAC because I made statements which, if you really, you know, listen to them, they are not in any way ethnic contempt. So we really have to ask ourselves, what does ethnic contempt mean? And what is a due process of the law? What does it stand for? You know, we find, you know, leaders being arrested in the middle of the night, which I completely abhor.
Okay.
You are arrested, there's no court order to arrest you. You know, I mean, you have not been summoned. We really have got to change how we run this country.
All right, Senator Ledama, if I remember correctly, I think the sentiments that you had made was that it is only a person from that region that would really address the needs and situations of the people from that county, saying that people that are not originally from that county may not be in a position to do that. But all the same, Honorable Wambogo, so now there appears to be an agreement here that really the political leaders are focusing on the wrong issues. So in your view, of course, previously before you became an elected official, you championed for change in this country. But what do you think Kenyans need to do? Because you have a whole 694 days to go to the next election. Already people are being treated to some sentiments that would appear derogatory. We're also being treated to politicians behaving badly, not putting on their mask and observing the COVID-19 containment measures. What does the Mwananchi do now?
I think the Mwananchi needs to continue doing what they've been doing. They need to continue analyzing the kind of leaders they have. They need to continue making decisions about the leadership they have. I keep saying that the leaders we have were elected by the people we have. The leaders we have, no member of parliament or no member of Senate is in that house by his own device. This is because people were actually elected. The people who elected us are the people who are coming into these meetings. So we need to take responsibility of the fact that our leaders represent us. Our leaders are representative of us. When you hear the kind of sentiments that you're hearing, those sentiments are being made because they are popular in a particular place. Because politicians tend to speak and to try to pick up on what is popular. When you hear people trying to incite others, it's because, as you pointed out, what the comments that Olekina made in Narok, he made those comments because they were popular in where he was speaking. And it's important for us as, for the ordinary Kenyan, because I'm a Kenyan first, then I'm a member of parliament, for us to determine the kind of leaders we need. Number two, we need to seriously think about the responsibilities and the mandates we give them. Right now, we have people who are so focused on the next election, they've forgotten that we have 600 plus days to go to that election. I have had Olekina saying that the Jubilee administration hasn't delivered. I don't know what he's talking about. We talked about housing, we talked about food security, we talked about universal health care, we talked about manufacturing. When I see the president every single day, when I wake up every single day, I am focused on ensuring that those things are happening. I'm focused on ensuring that we are doing everything we can to support the manufacturing industry. We have come out of a corona crisis. One of the things people haven't realized is that our health system did not break, meaning that we had actually been able to put our health system in a place. We saw first world countries breaking. We saw people outside with stretchers outside the street. Kenyan's health system did not break. We have done some things. We haven't done a perfect job. We haven't done everything, but we have done some things. I know there's this narrative that is being pushed, especially by Koech and William Ruto, that the Jubilee government has failed. And I find that so ironical that it's coming from people who then want to use the Jubilee platform to run for office. You're out there convincing people that when I am president, if you elect me president, I will do A, B, C, D. You're the deputy president. You're the deputy party leader. You're the deputy leader of the party, and you refuse to come out of that party. You're insisting that party is going to be the next government, and you're saying the party has failed.
Honorable Ambogo, allow me to cut you short because
they're going to sell that narrative anywhere.
We all agree that there's a problem in the Jubilee Party, and whether you say that he's the deputy president should be functioning, and whether Nelson Koch says that your side is keeping him away. But you say
which
that,
is our side? Which is our side, Sam? Because this is what I don't understand. We are all members of one party. The party,
but it's not working, Honorable
nothing has changed in that leadership. Nothing has changed. For example, Murathe was a vice chair from before. Tuju was a secretary general from before. What is this they're saying has changed? The party leader was Uhuru Kenyatta. The deputy party leader is William Ruto. What has changed?
Well, of course, Honorable Ambogo, I'm sure you know what has changed in the workings of the Jubilee Party. I am not a member, but let's focus on the question that you said that the legacy is on course, and you highlighted some of the Big Four agenda. I just wanted to ask you a question. We were told that by 2022 we will be having 500,000 affordable housing units. How many have been done so far, 3 years down the line?
I don't know how many houses. I know I have watched the Hinga, the PS, launching several low-cost houses. As I said, we do not have a perfect picture. But then there's also something else we forget, Sam. You know, the advantage of politics is that when you actually are doing your returns, you're doing your returns at the end of your term. We have a situation at the end of this term, we're going to sit down with Kenyans and tell them, this is what we promised, this is what we have delivered. And the advantage of this is just like any other exam. You don't have to have 100% to get an A. You can get an A even with 75%. So I think personally, I am focused on ensuring that we do as much as possible. And in fact, if the deputy president would plug in and do his part, I suspect we'll do a lot more.
Okay. All right, let's focus on our final topic, this conversation, because you know that this week the counties had promised that they were going to shut down if they don't receive funds by the 17th of September. That should be the day after, today is 14th, so you're talking about Thursday. Senator Olekina, I saw last week Parliament making a communication that the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary could look for ways of releasing up to 50% of the funds. Of course, you're yet to agree on the revenue formula, the new revenue sharing formula. So where are we as we speak?
Question. I've got to make clear some of the things that I said. One, in my statements, I said clearly that Maasai issues will be articulated by Maasai and not people who are not from that area. You know, if you look at this, I understand how our people live. Gunjiri understand how he can articulate them better. So that is one of the things. Let's then get into another issue that Gunjiri Wamboko has spoken about in terms of why I say that the Jubilee government has failed. If you look at the manufacturing sector that he claimed that there's a lot that has happened, if you see what happened in terms of the tax laws, previously plants and machineries of Chapter 84 and 85 used for manufacturing of goods were tax exempt. Now you are charged 14% VAT. So there's a lot of taxes introduced which were supposed to initially were removed so that they can be able to help the Jubilee government achieve its goal in terms of the manufacturing sector. But recently, they were all introduced. So all these taxes which had been taken out, they were introduced. Now, to come to your question, I'll put it this way. I said clearly last week, and I'm going to stand by what I said, that the minority whip is trying to now go around the issue of revenue formula. He's trying to sideline the Senate from dealing with the issues of the revenue formula by teaming up with the National Assembly and Treasury, where they want now amend the PFM Act so that they can be able to send money. And when they do that, the Senate will be sidelined and the Senate will not be able to do its job. So if the minority leader and if the Jubilee government really cares about county governments, then the Jubilee government, and particularly the executive, has got to stay away, let the senators make this decision. We were expecting to have a Kampunji today, but Kampunji has not been called. So there's no goodwill in terms of the leadership of Jubilee for the counties to get their money. That's a fact. So my prayer is this. Tomorrow, we are going to be having a sitting. I can assure you that the senators will insist on issue number one, being the issue of revenue formula. Let us debate it, even if we're going to spend the night in the Senate, let us debate it, we go through all those amendments until we can be able to send money to the county government. It is not the senators who do not want money to go to the county government, but it's actually the Jubilee administration that do not want money to go into the government, into the county governments. So okay. I stand with what I said, that even after we were sort of like chosen to represent all the 47 delegations in a 12-member team, what came up with, the 47 delegations do not even know. The other 35 delegations do not have a clue what we agreed on. So if there was really goodwill, then the first thing which would have happened is that we would have brought in the report, tabled it, because we spent taxpayers' money to be able to spend all those 10 days sitting down and deliberating with the 12-member committee, which I happen to have been a member of that committee. But after we did that, the leadership started pussyfooting. Okay. So finally, this way. Let me put it this way. The only way that we can be able to send money to the county governments is if we focus on the CARA, we focus on the revenue formula, but not bring up any amendments with the PFM Act. We will defeat those amendments. We will not even allow them to be brought on the floor, because it is a way of sidelining the Senate, and that will be the end of the devolution in this country. Okay, all right. Honorable Opiyo Wandayi, I'll get to you. But before I do so, let me bring in Nelson Koech here, because, of course, the matter to do with the money being released to the counties affects everybody, practically, talking about this country. When you look at the stalemate, the standoff that has been of the governors threatening to go ahead and shut down the government come Thursday, what do you think should be the solution out of this at a time that we see so many governors now being charged in court? From my count, I have about 6.
First, we need to have sobriety. Like my friend Olekina said, it is important that the Senate shows leadership. Senate is one of the houses that still has a lot of honor and a lot of goodwill from Kenyans. And I believe the leadership in the Senate now should take up their responsibility and make sure that counties receive what is due to them. Nonetheless, it should also be prudent that the governors who have, in a way, misused the funds that have been channeled to different counties must be put to accountable. And on that, I really must congratulate the DCI and the SEC for doing thorough investigations. And this time round, we've seen very, very serious arrest. So I think for the Senate, they should take up their responsibility. And if they don't, then we are very ready in National Assembly again to try and see that the 50% that is supposed to go to the counties are received, so that counties can start work, counties can start paying their workers, and counties can again operationalize. Okay. Honorable Opiyo Wandayi, of course, you chair a critical committee when it comes to accountability and oversighting how public agencies are spending money. So from your point of view, looking at the counties, we now know that Governor Muthomi Njuki, Governor Okoth Obado of Migori, Governor Ferdinand Waititu, of course, now impeached, Governor of Samburu, Moses Leonard Kulal, as well as Mike Sonko of Nairobi, they have been barred from accessing the offices. Of course, they continue to stay in office. We are expecting that this week the Garissa governor should be taken before court, and the same fate might befall him. What do you think we should be doing to ensure that, first of all, the resources are safe, but also the counties continue to operate in a normal situation?
First, the Public Accounts Committee, which I chair in the National Assembly, deals with facts. It doesn't deal with insinuations or being propagated out there in the field or in the rallies. And that's why on the issue of KEMSA, we have taken the step to direct that a forensic audit be undertaken by the Auditor General before we can actually look at the issues. But even as we do so, the DCI, the EACC are already investigating the KEMSA issue, and I hope they will take the necessary action once they're through with the investigation. On the stalemate about the revenue sharing formula in the Senate, I agree with my colleagues. The Senate must rise to the occasion and give Kenyans a solution. That is still their mandate. There are no two ways about it. Yeah, they need to give Kenyans a solution, and very soon, because the counties are nearly grinding to a halt. Even though I also know that this revenue sharing formula matter has become a profitable enterprise in the Senate. I've raised it before, and I want to repeat it here. Yes, that some senators are using this stalemate to benefit. And I've asked the ECC in the past to consider undertaking some investigations. Even as we resolve the stalemate, we know that from the grapevine, of course, and talk in the corridor, that some underhand dealings have happened in the Senate. And this could be a reason why the stalemate is being prolonged unnecessarily. Thirdly, once the monies have been disbursed to the counties, it is the duty and responsibility of the governors to ensure that these monies are utilized appropriately and in a transparent manner. And therefore, I support very, very strongly the jurisprudence that was established by Justice Mumbi Ngugi, that governors who have been charged in court need to actually stay away from office. In my view, they shouldn't just stay away from office. They should actually be asked to resign. That's the only way we are going to ensure that public funds are utilized in an effective and a prudent manner. Otherwise, we may be clamoring for more monies, for more funds for the counties, but without proper checks and balances, we are going to have problems, yes.
Well, of course, Honorable Piondai, they are proposing a very drastic measure. Of course, we've been here with Senator Ledama and Nelson Koech, but I want to have the final word from one Honorable Wambogo. So Opiyo Wandayi is proposing that governors who are mentioned in these cases should resign, never mind the presumption of innocence. But what do you think should happen now that we know that there's an impeachment motion pending at the County Assembly of Migori against Governor Okoth Obado, of course sponsored or rather advocated for by the party that he comes from, that is ODM. What should we be seeing moving forward, because it's likely that more governors will find themselves in the same situation in the coming days?
Impeachment motions, by their very nature, are political processes. And I have watched that, in fact, in Migori, a decision is being made by the political class, which is the county assembly, who are actually the ones who oversight the governor, and they want to impeach him. And I think that is their right. It is, and it's going to happen everywhere. If you wake up and you decide you want to impeach, if any county assembly decides they want to impeach their governor because they do not agree on how the governor is operating, I think we need to watch and allow that process to go to its logical conclusion. But then I also want to focus a bit on the Senate. And I want to say the following things. I know governors are threatening that by Thursday, if they don't, if this stalemate is not broken, they will shut down. And I want to suggest, if counties shut down, then Senate needs to shut down. There's absolutely no other reason that Senate exists. Their primary reason for existing is to be able to share and to discuss revenue share for the counties. If they cannot make that decision, they have sat 10 times. This is going to be the 10th time they're sitting. If they do not make that decision, then we need to agree as a country we do not need the Senate. The Senate needs to shut down. We just take over the responsibility as a National Assembly of being able to allocate revenues, county revenues, in addition to all the other money we allocate. Because they cannot tell me 47 of them, because the decision about revenue share is made by the elected senators. 47 of them have been unable to sit down and agree on how to share revenue to counties over close to 3 months. This is politics they're playing. I have my colleague Honorable Opiyo Wandayi has mentioned about the kind of rumors we're hearing of the kind of money that is moving around in the Senate. I think we need to get to the point and agree that if senators are not able to make this decision tomorrow, they shut down and go home. We as National Assembly take over this responsibility. We sit, and I know we'll be able to pass that revenue share within a first sitting. We cannot watch people play games with us in Senate and play ego trips with us and Kenyans. For these counties, the people who depend on the counties for money, whether they're the employees or the development projects going on, have been stuck as people had ego trips and fought about who is more important than the other, who can organize how many people as compared to the other. Senate needs to shut down if they're not able to make a decision tomorrow.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Gunjiri Wambogo, for that. We also had Opiyo Wandayi from Ugunja in Siaya County, and we also had Senator Ledama Olekina from Narok County, and one Nelson Koech from Belgut constituency. Thank you so much for making time for us to have that conversation here on Daybreak. Of course, we take a short break here, but when you return, we'll be speaking to Dr. Victor Ngani, who is a critical care doctor, and we'll be talking about the state of COVID-19 in the country. Of course, we've been seeing the numbers are going down, but also people are dropping the guard. Of course, majorly seeing the images of politicians and the residents that attend those rallies. We are seeing what's happening. So we talk about that and the risks involved.